Hello everyone, it's Jen. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I needed something bright and cheery, so I thought what better than unicorns and rainbows. So I dug in my stash and pulled out one of my favorite stamp sets from Not Too Shabby Shop, the Unicorn Dreamland, and then this Hello Sentimini stamp set from Trinity Stamps, which has a number of great sentiments and a coordinating die that you can purchase separately, as well as this rainbow die, which I haven't had a chance to play with yet. So I thought I would use up some of my scraps to create a fun rainbow unicorn themed card. So we're going to start out by doing some coloring, and I have my mini Misti out here, and I've got my two little unicorns that I'll be using on my cards today. Just stamping those out with some Lawn Fawn jet black ink. This is my preferred ink for Copic coloring, and I'm using some Nina 80-pound cardstock. I did stamp these out a few times just because I wanted the lines to be extra dark because I'm using some bright colors. So I decided to do 3-color blends for all of the colors for my unicorns. I'm going to give them rainbow manes and tails. So for the red color, I'm using R39, R29, and R24. This is probably my favorite 3-color blend for reds. I didn't really have an idea of where I wanted to color each of the areas of the mane and tail, so I just kind of took a chance and just laid down some color. So you'll notice I'm not really following the rainbow order for the hair of the unicorns, but I think it still turns out really cute. So for the orange, I'm using YR09 as my darkest, YR16 as my midtone, and then Y38 as my lightest. Again, just picking a few of those areas to color in with the orange color. And once I get that done, I can move on to the yellows. So for the yellows, I'm using Y17, Y15, and Y11. Now when I'm coloring these, I'm using my darkest marker first and then blending that out with the midtone, and then finally using the lightest marker. So you can see here, I'm kind of hesitant with the marker, just trying to figure out where I want to place those colors, and I'm pausing here because my cat Lila was up on my craft desk and I was afraid that she was getting in the way of the lighting, so I was kind of pausing there as she was sort of walking around my craft desk. So for the greens, I'm using YG17, YG03, and YG01. This is going to be a really nice bright color. I tend to like to choose a quite darker color for the darkest, and then have that midtone in between, and then pick a really bright light color when I'm doing a 3-color blend. So for the blues, I decided to do a blue-green. I'm using BG49, BG45, and BG01. And this, once it's blended out, will give a really nice blue-green color, almost like an aqua color. I decided to do the little stars on their bodies in the blue. And then once I have that done, I can move on to the purples. This is probably my favorite purple color combination as well, and I'm using V15, V12, and V01. Now you can see the little piece here on the unicorn that I'm working on behind her ear here. I have left uncolored. I wasn't quite sure what color I wanted to color that one, and I ended up deciding going back with the red marker and coloring that in. Now for the unicorn bodies, I wanted them to appear white, but I'm going to give them some really dark shadowing here so that there's lots of contrast. So I'm using C5 as my darkest, and you can see I'm just mapping out those darkest areas here with that marker, pretty much sticking to underneath the mane, under their neck, and then anywhere where their body parts overlap on another area of their body, and then near the tail. So once I have all of that down, I'm going to blend that out with the midtone, the C3. just pull that color out a little bit more, bringing that down underneath their bottom of the face there, and then around the back of their bodies. And then I can move on to the C1, which will be my lightest color. And once I do that, I will bring in my colorless blender and just blend that out a little bit. It'll soften up those darker lines. And once the alcohol dries from the colorless blender, it will have really pushed back that color. But because I was using such bright colors on the card, and I'm bringing in some of the clouds from the rainbow die set, I knew there was going to be a lot of white, so I wanted the unicorns to really stand out on the cards. So just going to finish up the coloring here for the bodies, and then I'm going to work on their little hooves here, and I'm just using this C5 for that. For their cheeks and inside their ears, I'm using R32 and then blending that out with the colorless blender. I decided to add a little bit of this R32 on their horns, and then you'll see here in a second I'm going to bring in some Lawn Fawn Prisma glitter. I'm going to add the Prisma glitter to all of the areas where I laid down that R32 marker. So here's where I'm using my colorless blender here to blend out the cool gray markers that I used for the bodies. So I hope you're all continuing to do well as we continue to navigate the coronavirus, and we're all doing our part to stay safe. I hope you and your families are doing well and staying healthy. And I know I've been enjoying some extra crafting time in the craft room after work to kind of escape a little bit from the reality and the stress of the situation. But I hope these cards bring a smile to your face. I've kind of been digging into my stamp stash and pulling out some stamps that I haven't used or have used a while ago but bring me joy, and I've been creating with those. I've also been working on some multiple card videos with some of the new release stamps from Lawn Fawn, so stay tuned for that. And also the Save the Crafty YouTuber hop is either started or will be starting soon, depending on when I get this video out to you all. So stay tuned for that. So moving on here, you can see I've gone ahead and I literally just looked for scraps of cardstock that I have in a bin, and I've cut out the rainbow die here in all of the colors of the rainbow. I just wanted to show you that this cloud die actually has two separate pieces. For one of the cards, I'm going to leave those two pieces together, and then the other one I take off that outer rim of the clouds. So I'll show you what those look like. So this is really simple to create. The die set comes with the background panel where you can add the rainbow on top. So that's nice. And you can see here I'm just adding all of the different layers of the rainbow with some liquid adhesive. I'm not worried that the bottoms aren't even because the clouds will be over top of that and you won't see it. So I'm bringing in the really rainbow 6x6 pattern paper from Lawn Fawn. I cut out a couple of those papers with my stitched rectangle dies from Heffy Doodle. I also cut out a smaller rectangle with some regular cardstock here, and those will go on top of the pattern paper, just leaving a pretty rainbow border around that focal panel there with the white cardstock. So once I get these panels placed on top of my pattern paper, I'm going to bring out some Distress Oxide ink in Tumbled glass, and this is my favorite easy background for cards. I'm just going to blend a little bit of this blue colored ink to the background just to add a little bit of softness to the white cardstock, and so that the clouds will show up against that white panel. So I'm just using my Trinity brush blending buddy here, and I'm just adding a very thin layer of color to the back of this. And now I can go ahead and create the first card. So this one I'm doing in portrait style. The next one I will do in landscape style. And this one here, I'm using the clouds with both of the pieces. So I've gone ahead and added a little bit of cardstock to the back of those clouds just to ensure that that outer lining or rim of the cloud stays in place. You can see here for some of the clouds I'm using some foam tape, and for my unicorn I'm also going to pop her up on some foam adhesive. I felt like with the side where the unicorn was that I needed to have 3 clouds just so that she looked like she was sitting nicely in a fluffy pile of clouds and didn't look like she was falling off of them. It's also helpful to have odd numbers of things on your cards. It can be more appealing to the eye. So you'll notice here that I have 3 clouds to the left-hand side, and then I'll use 2 clouds to the right-hand side. So I only needed that foam tape for the top part of the unicorn, and then I used some liquid adhesive for the bottom part, where the bottom part of her will rest on those clouds, which are already popped up on some foam tape. So there is the construction of the first card. I'm putting the cards together, and then I'll work on the sentiments as my second step. So you can see here, this is the landscape style card, and I'm going to have the unicorn to the right hand side. So I'll add 3 clouds to the right hand side. Now this one I actually used 3 clouds to the left hand side as well. I tucked 1 cloud each behind the rainbow this time, just for a little bit of a different effect. And I adhered those down with liquid adhesive, and then I'm going to pop up this one here in the front to the left hand side, and again for this third one I'll just adhere that down straight to the card panel with some liquid adhesive. For the left hand side, I'm actually going to adhere all the clouds down with my liquid adhesive. I'm not going to pop any of them up on foam tape, but my little unicorn already has some foam tape to the back of her. So I'm just going to make sure that I have these arranged in such a way that, again, she looks like she's comfortably sitting on those clouds. I love how the pattern paper and the cardstock and then the color choices I did for the coloring of the unicorns really matched perfectly. It was kind of a happy accident. But I love how bright and cheerful these cards are. So now that I have these in a place, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work on the sentiments. So this first sentiment says, "I've been thinking about you." I'm going to stamp that out with my Versafine Clair Nocturne ink, and I'm placing that to the bottom right hand side of the card. You saw there I thought about putting it underneath the rainbow, which I think would have looked just as cute. So you can definitely place your sentiments anywhere on the cards. I just chose the bottom for this one. I am going to add the hello die that matches the little sentiment stamp set on that first one as well. But while I have my Misti out, I went ahead and stamped the sentiment for my second card, and I think this is so sweet. It says, "I miss your face," which I thought would be really cute to send to someone I'm thinking of during this challenging time. So here's the die cut hello that I'm using. I just cut it out of the same purple cardstock that I used in the rainbows. And the die set also comes with these 3 hearts, which I love. They're 3 different sizes. And so I did not separate the rainbow and the hearts. I ran them through my die cut machine at the same time. And that gave me lots of little heart confetti here that I could use for my card. This little orange one was giving me some trouble. It had flipped upside down. I'm just using my jewel picker here to pick up these little hearts and place them on with some liquid adhesive. All the products that I used today will be linked in the description box below. I'm just going to finish up. Of course, I needed some more glitter here, so I'm going to add my Nouveau shimmer pen to the mane and the tails of the unicorns. And then I'm going to add some nouveau glaze to the little stars on their bodies, and that will finish up the cards for today. So I hope you enjoyed these cards. I hope you stay well, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me. Please leave a comment below and let me know how you're doing, and I will see you all really soon in the next video. Bye!